I will speak something about these three words that is combined to form this mantra, Hare Krishna and Rama. This is not one invention like this. This is in the Vedas. There's one Upanishad. It's called Kalisantarana Upanishad. And then the mantra is there. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then the following verse says like this in Sanskrit. Iti shodashakam nunam kali kalmasa nasanam nata parataro paya sarva vedeshu drishyate. And then it said that iti shodashakam nunam, these 16 words of this mantra, 16, you can count. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. 16. And the verse says, Kali Kalmasa Nasanam is the remedy, is the medicine for the age that we live in now, Kali Yuga. As every year we have 4 seasons. Now we are experiencing summer season. And in just summers, more or less. But in other places, for example, I was in Spain, and then it's 40 degrees Celsius, like this. Summer. And then, in the same way, there is cosmic ages, very, very big, like this, long duration, like that. And then we are living in this Kali Yuga age. This Kali Yuga is not very easy to live in Kali Yuga because there is no guarantee of nothing. Everything is uncertainty. But this mantra, it said that is the medicine for this age. And then the verse says, Nata parataro paya. There is no process better than this one. This is not my opinion. It is there, written in the Vedas. And it ends like Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. This is confirmed in all Vedas. And then the mantra is one authorized, genuine process. Process of what? Is what we mean about self-realization. Self-realization, because the mantra is a sound vibration. And sound vibration is very powerful sound vibration. By sound vibration you can humiliate other person, offend, like this. By sound vibration you can give it very good encouragement. And then this sound vibration, because it is pure, is completely spiritual. There's no secular connotation like this. These are words, Hare Krishna, Rama. And then is just one pure sound. And then if you vibrate this sound, this will act in our consciousness. Because we can expand our consciousness. If our consciousness is just limited by the practical way of life like this, you cannot understand the reality. You understand how to survive in this world like this, how to get money, how you can find one place to live like this, what job you do, like this. Practical things. And then entertainment. Nowadays there is a lot of entertainment. And then people become distracted. There's no interest in self-realization. This is the fact. Because during the life, there's many people who think like that. Oh, I'm living well. I don't need God. I was living. Okay. Yeah. You can say like this. We have this free will. We have a choice. But the point is that when this cycle of living comes to the end, and a person who has not this knowledge of what is one reality more big than this one, he will become, as Srila Prabhupada says, at least perplexed like this. This is the minimum, because many people become depressed, many people become full of fear, and then start lamenting. Some of them become frustrated because cannot see which are my possibilities from now on. This is very important. We can see that people, we are living in the present. But we have to know the human being has the capacity to foresee. And then we can make our plans for the future. But generally the future of people are very short. For example, the boys and one young person was in university. Oh, the future is when I will graduate, and then which job I will get after graduation. This is the future. And then others has a job and for 15 years he has his job, and then he's thinking, when I'll be retired. Like this. Short-term futures or medium-term futures, but not long-term futures. For this long-term future, you have to have knowledge. You have to understand the reality of this world. In order to make plans for the future, because it's said, each person will construct his destiny. This is something personal, like this, for the future, like this. And then it's very important. We have to have one reference to get this knowledge. Anyway, in my case, when I was something like 23, 24 years old, one friend of mine gave me one book, yoga book, and then I could understand that there is some different opinions about different visions of this world, like this, from the other parts of the planet, like this. And then I came across with this Vedic knowledge, and I could see that it's very important for our lives. Very important. Nowadays we are living in this age of technology, communications, internet, globalization, like this. And this knowledge from the Vedas belongs to everywhere. Everybody, belongs to everybody, like this. And then it's impressive. This Vedas is something extraordinary. It's not there is one book or 2 books or 10 books, no, so hundreds of books speaking about existential philosophy and spirituality. And I say, sane spirituality, healthy spirituality, because in name of spirituality there is so many different concepts, and everything is something emotional, emotion. Like this, no. The spirituality in this process of Krishna consciousness is very light. Is to have a very good life, because we can live very well, and we are constructing our future. But the only thing it needs is something, one personal interest. Like this. As I mentioned, self-realization means one becomes more and more conscious. Can understand this reality. That is that this existential questions like this. I think everybody knows about that. The first question, who am I? Like this. We have to know, who am I? If you say, I'm John, I'm Mary, I'm 30 years old, my father, my mother is such and such, my job is that when I graduate, and this and that, I like to play football. Anyway, this is conceptions of the body, but as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we are the soul within this body. This is not the Bhagavad Gita, no. In Christian doctrine, the Saint Augustine, he spoke like this. It's not that we are the body and we have the soul, but on the contrary, we are the soul that we have this body. Like this. Because the soul is the source of living. The soul is the source of consciousness. The life, the phenomenon of life is something, how can I explain? The science cannot explain. Like this. The consciousness. Because it's a spiritual energy. Like this. And then we have to understand. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in verse like this, Najayate briyate vakadachim nayam bhutva bhavita vanabhuyaha ajonityas shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane shariri. The verse says, for the soul there is no birth and death, kadachim, in any time. Nayam bhutva bhavita vanabhuya. Now I'm existing, but I existed in the past, and I will exist in the future. Not in this body, another cycle. Because everything in this world is cyclic. Everything. We should understand this. Everything is cyclic in this material world. Everything comes in the one cycle of cause and effect, and then the effect becomes the cause of the following effect. Here everything goes like this. Or action and reaction. Action, reaction, like this. It's propagated like this. Everything in this world is cyclic. We cannot think that something appeared from nothing and will disappear in nothing. Even in classical physics, the Newton and others, they knew that nothing is created, nothing destroyed, everything is in transformation. And then this also, this is one truth like that, which is valid for spiritual life also. And then the verse says, Ajo nitya shashvato yam purano aja. The soul is aja. Aja means that there's no birth. Nitya, eternal, shashvata, constant, purana, primordial. And the verses ends like this. Na hanyati hanyamani shariri. The soul does not die when the body dies. Like this. Simple like this. Very simple like this. It's okay. Imagine to lose everything with that. All the experience we have in this life, like this. All the good sentiments you have, like this. No, this goes ahead, like this. The only thing that we can live from this life is the only thing that we carry at the end is our consciousness. And then we have to see how is the state of our consciousness. Has to be good consciousness. Good consciousness. If for that we have a process to work with our consciousness, to have our consciousness in good shape, like this, like this. But it needs knowledge. And knowledge is we can get from here, Bhagavad Gita. And we can understand who am I, we can understand, explain the place that we are here. Why we are in this world. What is the meaning? What is the purpose? This is very important, the purpose of life. We have to, because definitely there is one for purpose, for living. You have to know. You have to know. And then we can work with our consciousness. As I mentioned, otherwise the consciousness becomes just like conditioned to the practical way of living. No, we have to open our consciousness to understand the things from the high dimension, like this. This is called the transcendental knowledge. It's called the revelation. The science cannot go there. The philosophy also cannot go there. The only way that we can get this knowledge is from sacred scriptures. The only way. Because it's descendant knowledge to us. You see, long ago, millennia before us, the planet was completely different from now. The nature is completely pure everywhere. Much before industrial revolution. And nowadays we are living the technological era. But in that time people are doing research inside, like this. In these times that came out the knowledge of yoga. And I don't have any, concrete information, but I think that many persons achieve one spiritual consciousness in these times. Many people achieve one state of illumination, like this. But some of them, they wrote their experiences, and then they wrote the knowledge, what is the spiritual knowledge, like this. And then we have this is registered, all these informations. Because nowadays we have so much departments in the universities, but they are searching for details of this material energy, like this, not the spiritual energy. But it's important. The Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that we have to come to the end of this life in spiritual consciousness in order to go further. Like this. And then, what is the purpose of this life? We have the opportunity to elevate our consciousness. We have this opportunity. We are living different phases of life and having different experiences. But we have to manage this experience. For example, we become very attached to things that we like, and becomes attached. And in our culture, the more we become old, we get old, we become more attached to material things in order to compensate the lack of vitality or like this performance, like this, become that. And at the end of the cycle of living, you are completely attached. But the separation is inevitable. And then this separation is very traumatic. Isn't it? So much suffering. People cry, suffering like this. And then we have to know how to go out from this life, living in high consciousness. This is practical. It's something practical. You can go out from this life satisfied. There's so much difficulties and problems. In the end of our cycle of living, the body was not the same, but our consciousness has to be in high mood like this. And then we need some example for that. For us, that we follow the instructions of Srila Prabhupada. We have this example, how he left this world completely lucid, giving instructions till the end of the life. This is what we call the one productive life. We have to be productive from the beginning to the end of life. Of course, this productivity, it varies in different phases of life. For example, for the students, one productive life is to learn lessons, have good noticing, examining. For the second part of life, the living in family, you have to be productive, is it? Because it demands, we have to have responsibility, because we have to bring food for the house, we have to maintain the family, like this. When we come to the third part of the life, the retirement, and then normally the productivity goes down. Because we have that TV in the living room, like this, lot of entertainment, just by the finger like this. You have so many entertainment, comfort, like this. But the point is that the consciousness goes down. And people become sad, lamenting, depressed, like this. I'm speaking the good people with the good heart, because people who has malice,
Yes.
malice in the heart, oh, they are lost. I'm speaking person with good heart, like this. But there's so many persons with good heart, but the consciousness is very small. You cannot understand the dynamic of the life. And then we have to have this knowledge. Bhagavad Gita is the source of knowledge, transcendental knowledge, practical instructions for our lives. All these verses are directed to our life, like this. You have to understand. Of course, it needs one explanation, and also we can also practice one process to elevate the consciousness. And the basic of this process is what we call mantra yoga, meditation in this Maha Mantra Hare Krishna. And also we have to work with our sentiments, our emotions. And this process is called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti means pure love. Pure love that is directed to God, Bhakti. Because the love that we can find in this world is not pure. Srila Prabhupada said the most pure love in this world is the mother to the baby, like this. Because the baby cannot, there's no, he is completely dependent. Completely dependent. And the mother has to sacrifice his life in order to give the best for the baby. This is a pure love. And this kind of love you have to develop in relation to God. And Krishna consciousness is this relationship is very personal. It's very personal relationship with God. We can see the difference, for example, a few minutes ago we went to the cathedral to see. These are very important places here. Very impressive, like this. But it's a different mood, like this. It's the mood of the regular religions, like this. The mood technically is called Ashvarya, like this. The mood of reverence, like this. That's what it says in Christian doctrine, like this. You have to feel this fear from God, like this. It's something distant, like this relation with God. Actually, there are few information about God Himself, but in Vedas we can say is the God science. The information about God is too much, like this. And then this is difference. How to relate with Krishna, like very direct. It's said that we chant His names. His name is so pure. And then if you are chanting the names of Krishna, you are connected with Him, like this. This connection with Krishna is called yoga. This link is called yoga. Yoga is this connection. And then we have to have this connection to Krishna, to take refuge in Krishna. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you have to surrender. The last instruction in Bhagavad Gita Krishna gives, he said the famous verse, Sarva dharmam parityasya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshashyami marshocha. Krishna says like this. Abandon all the mundane conceptions, like this. He simply surrender to me. And then Krishna says, I take care of your karma. And he says, Mashuchaha, don't worry about that. And then it's just some very good partnership we have with Krishna. Another verse Krishna says the same. Aham tesham samudharta mrityu sansara sagara. For those who are connected with me, Krishna says, I am the Savior. In this mrityu sansara sagar. Sagar means ocean. Ocean, the mrityu sansara, the repeated birth and death. repeated cycles of living like this. Krishna says like this, I am the savior in this ocean of birth and death. These repeated cycles of living is called samsara. And then we have this connection. You have to reinforce this connection with Krishna. This is what Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna Consciousness. And the process of Bhakti Yoga, the essence of the Bhakti Yoga is devotional service. Devotional service. Which is, the concept of devotional service is very broad. Devotional service, for example, is as Prahlad Maharaj taught us. It starts from Shravanam and Kirtana. Shravana and Kirtana. Shravana is simply hear, simply hear, like this. And to permit to allow the sound, vibration, enter in your ear and goes to the consciousness. Because sometimes people, there's no interest. The sound, vibration entering on the ear and comes out from another one. Is loose. No, we have attentively here about this knowledge. This is considered devotional service, is the practical Bhakti Yoga. And Kirtana is singing, chanting, or meditating, Smaranam, remembrance, meditation. This is a devotional service. And then there's a practical devotional service. For example, we have this literature. Something is publishing this. A lot of work, practical work. But it's not work that people want profit. No. We want to deliver the knowledge like this, to inspire the lives of people in general. And then this is a pure devotional service. Some practical thing has to go to the graphic, it has to do the layout of the books, like this, translations, and like this. But it's practical service. And then after the program, we have some prasadam. Someone cook and offer to Krishna. And then this is devotional service. And then devotional service, what we can give, not what can I take. What is the advantage I can take? No. This disposition, this attitude is very important in devotional service. And then this is Bhakti Yoga. It's very simple. And Srila Prabhupada said once, it's simple for the simple person. It's complicated for the complicated person. The person is very scholars, very intellectuals like this. And then he said, oh, this is very simple. Cannot appreciate it. process. But it's like this. But it has to be knowledge. The point is that. It has to be knowledge. There's one verse in Srimad Bhagavatam says like this. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yogas Prayojita Janayatyashu Vairagyam Gyanam Shayada Haitukam. For those who are practicing the process of Bhakti Yoga, two things occurs, I think, automatically. The first is Vairagya. Vairagya. Vairagya means detachment. Natural detachment. It's explained in Bhagavad Gita the functioning of the mind. The mind functions in raga and dvesh. Raga and dvesh. Raga means attachment. What I like, I become attached. What I don't like, I reject. Dvesh. Raga, dvesh. Like this. There's one simple thing about the mind. Mind, there is no intelligence. Intelligence is another thing. Intelligence works in terms of values. This is good, this is not good, like this. And mind is like, I don't like, like this. Raga and Dvesh. And then Vairagya, detachment. Because it's said in the Vedas that the attachment is one of the most strong sources of suffering. There's time for attachment, there's time for detachment. Like this. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita. It's practical things. And like this. We want to understand our dynamic of our body. Physical body, there is so many informations. Medical science like this. They are discovering things in the body. And also how to control our mind. The verse said two things. First thing, detachment. And the second thing, knowledge. We get knowledge. And then what is knowledge? I will be a scholar like this. No, it's not like this. This one great Acharya, Jiva Goswami, explained that this knowledge means that you can read these words on Bhagavad Gita and other books from Bhagavad Gita. You understand this knowledge. Because there are very intelligent people who read it like this, like some intellectual curiosity like this. I don't know. Yeah. That's the opinion of Krishna. But the knowledge is here. And then you have to have this proper attitude to get to this knowledge. First of all, you have to have interest. And now here in Canterbury, we have this simple meeting week, like a program here. And devotees who are practicing this process and knowledge, and then you can consult with them. In order to achieve this benefit for our Okay. Some comments, some questions? Where is this? What is that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
So now,
there it is.
this one.
Yes.
Maharaj, sometimes we know that, the intelligence says, this is what's good for me. I know what's good for me. It treats things with principles. And you said we need to have interest. And sometimes the interest, it's not so strong, but we know this is the best, and then we have to push ourselves because we know this is the best thing for us.
Yes.
Other times it's easier to have interest.
You have to develop what it says in the Shastras, in the scripture. Eyes of philosophy. We have to understand this world, this life, philosophically, like this. The term is Jnana Chakshus, the eyes of knowledge, of philosophy, like this. And then, nowadays people are not so philosophical, not philosophical. But those who have some inclination for this should develop this quality like this. As I said, there's a lot of people, I think they have a good heart, but his consciousness is very small like this. He does not understand the dynamics of life. But if you get this, isn't it this verse says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavam Jiva Guru Krishna Prasadipaya Bhakti Lata Bija. We are living this material world, wandering in different situations, but we are fortunate enough, we can get the seed of the bhakti in our heart by the mercy of Krishna and a representative of Krishna. And if the seed will grow, this is another thing. And for those who receive the seed, it can be considered that it's a fortunate person, like this. And then it's like a farmer, that you can produce something, and then you has to have good soil, has to fertilizers, has to be water, sun, different factors. And then the seed can germinate and grow like this. And then this is something personal. If you get the seed of this information, this knowledge, you have to cultivate like that. And gradually you get more and more like interest or faith in this. Because faith is important. Nowadays, people try to consider that faith is something sentimental like this. No, faith is one strong potentiality we have, faith. Faith and reason. In the Middle Ages, the philosophers were trying to understand what's this, those faith and reason and faith. Reason is very simple. 2 plus 2 is 4. There's no other option. But faith is one spiritual intuition. Spiritual intuition that we grows. Because faith is something individual, it's not collective. Collective is crença.
Credo?
Collectivism.
Credo?
Huh?
It's like a mundane religion kind of thing.
For them, the popular religion, like this.
Belief and the
Huh?
belief, difference between belief and faith.
No, it's popular religion.
Belief, popular belief, something like this, collective belief, like this. Yes.
Do you believe that reason lives in the consciousness and faith lives in the subconsciousness? Because you don't speak of the two different things.
Subconscious. What is subconscious? Freud, for example, he was thinking that subconscious always bad for him, like this. But for example, Jung said that subconscious can be pure, can be spiritual, like this. But this is a terminology, a general consciousness. This consciousness is a spiritual energy, like this. And then this faith is one potentiality that we have. You can develop with reason. For example, the first time you came across with this Bhagavad Gita, for example, and you go to your house, I will investigate, I will research about Bhagavad Gita, then go to the computer and Google like this and put Bhagavad Gita and it comes. Lot of information like this. And then you can use your reason to come to the conclusion that this is one source of knowledge, spiritual knowledge like this, because this is a lot of important people in the past and the present like this confirmed this like this. Use the reason to put faith in the words, because faith, basically faith, is faith in the words of the scripture. It's not something like imaginary, like this. No, it's faith in the instructions. I put faith in these instructions. Something practical, it's not abstract. No, like this. But you have to develop this gradually. We have the whole life in order to come to the point of like this one. Good spiritual consciousness. Okay. Anyway, I'm from Brazil, and we are developing one project in Brazil, very interesting, very interesting. Like, it's a very wonderful land. Krishna puts in our hands one land, the thing, very beautiful, very big, like this. We are there's a forest, nature is, I think, everything is nature, natural. We have pure water, waterfalls like this, and like this. And we are developing this project in Brazil for 30 years. In the beginning it was pioneering like this. Devotees were doing like very austere life like this. And then we have done some improvements like this. We constructed one temple, one temple very. You can show.
Is it this one?
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Show to them if someone can see. We constructed this temple like this, and we have some. We are in this point of we need to install the deities like this. And then visiting different countries like this, and I came to UK because I was invited to come here like this. And devotees here in UK, they made this booklet with some articles that I wrote, because I wrote some books, but in Portuguese language. And then there's some articles, and also I have one CD, the mantras. This CD is interesting that there is participation of professional musicians in Brazil. Because one friend of mine is a big top musician, like this Rama, like this, and he invited some friends of him to, you want to participate in a recording with the mantras like this, and they come, you see, like spontaneously. And then if you can take some literature or mantra like this, it's not commercial, it's for helping our project. Okay? We ask for some donation. You can speak with Sylvia or Vedavyasa. Okay? If you want, we are grateful by heart. And we want to invite you to visit us. Please come, visit us in Brazil. It's very interesting, it's very inspiring, like this. If you have this opportunity, keep in mind, when comes the opportunity, please contact us, and it will be a pleasure to receive you in our place. Okay?
Purushatraya Swami ki jai.
Let's chanting a little more.